There's a kind of silence that settles in after midnight, when the streetlights hum a little louder than usual, and the radio dial feels like the only company you need. Somewhere back in 1970, that silence had a soundtrack, not the kind that shouted for attention, the kind that crept in through a bass line, or a horn section that knew exactly when to hold back and exactly when to explode. We talk a lot about voices, the ones that soared, the ones that cracked with heartbreak, the ones that made grandmothers cry in church pews and made teenagers fall in love in the back seats of borrowed cars. But tonight isn't about the voice out front. Tonight is about the groups where the real magic was happening behind the microphone, in the fingers on a guitar neck, in a horn line that hit like a gut punch, in a rhythm section so tight it became its own kind of language. These are the bands where the lead singer was good, sometimes even great, but he wasn't the reason you remember the record. He was just the doorway. The house behind him is where you actually wanted to live. So pour something warm, dim the lights if you've got them to dim, and let's walk through 10 records where the singer stepped aside just enough to let the real story shine through. Before we get into it, if you find yourself here at this hour, drifting through these old grooves the way I am, go ahead and hit like. And if you want more nights like this one, subscribe. No pressure. Just a door left open for whenever you want to come back. Number 10, Sissy Strut, by The Meters. Picture a back porch in New Orleans, the air thick enough to chew, and somewhere down the block a groove starts up that nobody wrote down, nobody rehearsed twice. It just arrived, fully formed, like it had always been waiting there. That's the feeling Sissy Strut carries. There's barely a lyric to hold on to here, and that's the whole point. In 1970, New Orleans was a city rebuilding its own sense of rhythm, finding a groove that didn't need words to tell you where home was. This record became the unofficial handshake of a city that talked through its feet before it ever talked through its mouth. Listen close and you'll hear it. That clipped guitar answering the organ, the drums laying back just enough to make you lean forward. It's a conversation between instruments, not a sermon from a singer. Nobody's begging you to feel something. The groove just assumes you already do. And that's why it still works today. Why producers still chase that exact pocket decades later. It's the sound of restraint being more powerful than a shout. When you hear it now, late at night, it doesn't feel dated. It feels like the blueprint somebody forgot to name. There's a lesson in that kind of quiet confidence, and it carries us right into our next stop, where a horn section did the talking a singer never needed to. Number 9, Son of Shaft by the Bar-Kays. There's a particular kind of cool that doesn't ask permission. It just walks into the room. That's what happens the second that horn line kicks in on Son of Shaft. You feel the temperature of the whole room shift before a single word gets sung. 1970 was a year when black identity on screen and on record was starting to look different. Bolder, unapologetic, cinematic in its own right. This record rode that wave. It wasn't trying to be a love song. It was trying to be a strut down a city sidewalk, camera following behind. And it succeeded without needing a story spelled out for you. The vocals here are almost secondary to the attitude of the arrangement itself. The horns snap, the rhythm section struts, and everything locks into a groove that feels less like a song and more like a walk you're taking through somebody else's memory. That's craftsmanship you feel in your chest before your brain catches up. Even now, when this one plays, it doesn't feel like nostalgia. It feels like confidence, borrowed for 3 minutes. Some records let you sing along. This one lets you strut along. And honestly, some nights, that's exactly what you need. From strut, we move to sway, because our next record found its power in a groove built for dancing until you forgot what you were sad about in the first place. Number 8, Fence Walk by Mandrill. Some records don't ask where you're from, they just tell you where you're going. Fence Walk opens like a door, swinging into a party that's already 3 hours deep. sweat on the walls, nobody checking the clock. In 1970, Mandrill was blending Latin rhythm, funk, and soul into something that didn't have a name yet. And that in-between space became the whole appeal. People were tired of boxes. They wanted music that moved like the city actually sounded, layered, loud in some corners, whispering in others. The vocals ride on top of the groove like foam on a wave, present, but never the main event. What grabs you is the percussion stacking on percussion, the horns weaving through like they're arguing playfully with each other. It's a party built by musicianship first, sung about second. Today, this record still finds its way onto late-night playlists for people who want to move, but don't want to think too hard about why. Some nights you don't need meaning, you need motion. And this one still delivers exactly that, decades later, without losing a single ounce of its heat. From that heat, we slide into something a little heavier, a little more hypnotic, where one man's guitar did more talking than any hook could. Number 7, That Lady by the Isley Brothers. There's a moment, right after the drums settle in, where a guitar cuts through like a voice you didn't expect to hear. Sharp, wounded, alive. That's Ernie Isley's guitar on That Lady. And once you hear it, the lead vocal almost becomes the frame around the real painting. By the time this record landed, the Isley Brothers were shifting shape, folding rock's grit into soul's smoothness. And it mirrored something bigger happening in black music at the time, an unwillingness to stay in anybody's assigned lane. People were done being boxed in, on record and off. The vocal delivery here is smooth, almost effortless, but it's clearly stepping aside so that guitar solo can breathe, can wail, can say the things the lyrics were too polite to say outright. It's longing, translated into distortion, and it lands harder because of it. That's why, even now, guitarists study this record like scripture. It's proof that a single instrument, played with enough heartbreak behind it, can outlast the singer who introduced it. Some nights this song doesn't feel like romance. It feels like grief wearing a nice suit. And speaking of instruments doing the heavy lifting, our next record turned an entire rhythm section into the main character. Number 6, Get Ready by Rare Earth.
Never met a girl could make me feel the way that you do.
Imagine a song built like a long drive with no destination, windows down, nobody in a hurry to arrive anywhere. That's the sprawling, patient heartbeat of Get Ready, a record that takes its time because it knows you're not going anywhere either. In 1970, Rare Earth, a group mostly known for turning soul classics into extended musical explorations, proved that a song could live twice, once as a tight, urgent original, and again as a slow-building, groove-heavy journey. That reinvention itself became the statement.
Look out, babe, and here I come.
The lead vocal here is steady, almost conversational, but it's really just checking in occasionally, while the real performance happens in the extended instrumental breakdown. Drums stretching out, keys wandering, the whole band clearly enjoying the room they gave themselves. That patience is exactly why it still resonates. In a world of 3-minute attention spans, this record insists you sit still and let the groove finish its thought. Some nights, that stubborn patience feels like the most honest thing on the radio.
That's how I planned it.
From patience, we move into Pure Heat, a record where the singer sounded good, but the band sounded unstoppable. Number 5, Mighty Mighty by Earth, Wind and Fire. There's a kind of joy that doesn't ask to be justified. It just moves through a room like sunlight, finding a crack in the curtains. Mighty Mighty carries that exact feeling, unashamed, upright, proud without needing to explain itself. Earth, Wind and Fire, even in these earlier years before their falsettos became legend, were already an ensemble in the truest sense. Horns, percussion, vocals all working like separate instruments in the same orchestra, none of them louder than the whole. The lead vocal delivers the message plainly, almost like a community announcement.
Let me bow, try
while the arrangement underneath carries the emotional weight. Horns punching in celebration, rhythm section locking into something almost spiritual in its tightness. It's a group performance dressed up as a solo. That communal spirit is why it still lands today, decades removed from its release. It doesn't feel like one man's triumph. It feels like a whole room standing up together, and some nights, that collective lift is exactly the medicine loneliness needs. From collective joy, we head into something moodier, where a bass line did more storytelling than any verse could manage. Number 4. Slippin' Into Darkness by War. Some songs don't ask you to dance, they ask you to sit with something uncomfortable, and War understood that better than most groups working in 1970. Slippin' Into Darkness opens like a warning, whispered by someone who's already lived through the thing they're warning you about. This was a year heavy with uncertainty, a country still bruised, still figuring out what peace was supposed to feel like. War built a sound around that unease, letting tension live inside the groove itself, instead of spelling it out too plainly in the lyrics. The vocal here carries weariness well, but it's the interplay between bass, guitar, and organ that truly tells the story. Restless, circling, never quite settling, like a mind that can't stop replaying something painful. That instrumental unease says more than any lyric sheet could. Even now, this record finds people at their lowest hours, 3 in the morning, staring at a ceiling, needing something that understands the weight without demanding they explain it. Some songs comfort you. This one simply sits beside you. From that heaviness, we lighten slightly, into a groove built for pure celebration, carried entirely by rhythm. Number 3, Love Roller Coaster by Ohio Players. There's a scream buried in this record that's become almost mythical over the years, more talked about than the actual lyrics themselves. That tells you everything about where the real power of Love Roller Coaster lives, not in the verses, but in the groove built underneath them. Ohio Players, coming out of Dayton, were shaping an entire regional sound in 1970. Thick bass lines, tight horns, funk that felt engineered for movement rather than reflection. This record became a signature, not because of what was sung, but because of how relentlessly the rhythm refused to let go. The vocal delivery is playful, almost secondary, riding on top of a bass line so elastic, it practically becomes its own vocal performance. That's the trick here. The groove does the seducing, the voice just narrates the afterglow. That's precisely why it still fills rooms today, whether it's a wedding reception or a solitary kitchen dance nobody else will ever see. Some nights, you don't need a reason to move. You just need permission, and this record has always freely given it. From celebration, we head somewhere quieter, more suspicious, more knowing. Number 2, Smiling Faces Sometimes, by Undisputed Truth. There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes from realizing the danger isn't a stranger, it's someone smiling right at you. Smiling Faces Sometimes captures that unease with a slow-burning tension that feels less like a warning and more like a confession whispered too late. In 1970, trust itself felt fragile, politically, socially, personally. People were learning that charm didn't guarantee honesty, that a friendly face could still be hiding something sharp behind it. This record became the soundtrack to that particular kind of heartbreak. The lead vocal carries suspicion well, but it's the eerie, wah-drenched guitar and the hesitant, creeping bass line that really build the paranoia. The arrangement itself sounds like it's looking over its shoulder, and that's what makes it unforgettable. Decades later, it still plays like a warning nobody wants to admit they need. Some nights, this song doesn't just remind you of a person who hurt you, it reminds you to trust your gut the next time something feels a little too smooth. And now, we arrive at the top of tonight's list, a record where the singer was fine, but the band behind him was doing something closer to alchemy. Number 1, Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang. There are songs you listen to, and there are songs you feel in your shoulders before your brain even catches up. Jungle Boogie is the second kind, a record that grabs your body first and asks questions later, if it asks them at all. In 1970, Kool and the Gang were still mostly known inside music circles as musicians. A tight, disciplined unit, more interested in groove architecture than spotlight chasing. This record proved that instinct could outcharm charisma. You didn't need a star, you needed a pocket this deep. The vocals here are almost an afterthought, playful shouts riding on top of a horn and bass groove, so relentless it practically becomes the lead performer itself. That's the whole genius of it. The singer is a guest at a party the band is clearly hosting. That's exactly why it still owns dance floors decades later. Still turns up in movies, in commercials, in memories of nights people can barely fully recall, but still smile about. Some grooves don't age, they just wait patiently for the next generation to rediscover them. There's something humbling about all of this, when you really sit with it. We spend so much energy chasing the loudest voice in the room, the one out front, the one with their name in lights. But 1970 quietly taught us something different, that the real heartbeat of a record often lives in the hands you never see. The horn player who knew exactly when to hold back. The bassist who understood tension better than any lyric could. The drummer who let silence do half the talking. That's the secret heartbeat of R&B and soul music. Community over ego, feeling over flash. It's why these records still find us on quiet nights, decades removed from the rooms they were born in. They weren't built to be famous, they were built to be true. And maybe that's why we still come back to them. Not for the spotlight, but for the warmth just behind it. Good night, and until next time, keep the volume low and the memory close.